The Dark Continent, Jurassic World. Audiobook Part 1. Prologue. Carcass. 5 months ago, decay wafted through the air. A curved path snaked through the jungle with dense foliage on either side. In the distance, the soft rumble of a vehicle's engine gradually approached the small central village of Yabema. A pale orange and gray SUV appeared from behind the compact jungle vegetation and slowed to a stop near an enormous embankment. A large wooden sign read, "Bienvenue à Yabema." Welcome to Yabema. To the right of the bank were 8 yellow-painted huts situated vertically in fashion. It was a simple village. To the left of the cottages were multiple timber-fenced animal enclosures, and in the middle stood a rusted brick well. On the opposite side was a plowed field with amply supplied crops, sorghum, corn, and wheat. But what lay behind the terrain was the source of death and decay. Lying in the thick flora was the darkened silhouette of an animal. Vultures roosted atop the carcass, slowly picking at the exposed muscle as hundreds of flies swarmed the surrounding area, buzzing furiously in the air. Atop the hillside, the gray doors to the Land Rover sat ajar. Plastered alongside both doors was a tannish-brown logo resembling a badge. Large amber-colored text ran along the sides of the logo, which read, "Africa Safari Rescue, established June 11, 1993. 2 men stepped out of the vehicle, both dressed in uniformed beige bush poplin shirts, high-waist shorts, and waterproof boots. ASR, Africa Safari Rescue, was branded on their shirt pockets, and each held a Ruger No. 1 tropical rifle. On the back of the men's shirts read the names Sam Porter and Miles Douglas. Sam Porter was a rugged man in his early 30s. His shaggy brown beard covered most of his pale-skinned face, making him appear natural and serious. His dark green eyes glistened as he stared off into the distance. A concerned look crossed his face as he looked around the enclosed area. The heavier-set man named Miles Douglas was clean-shaven. He had dark brown, almost black hair that was hidden underneath his safari rescue cap. Miles had on a pair of black Ray-Ban sunglasses and a cigarette between his teeth. He leaned against the side of the Land Rover, puffing smoke into the air. The burning sun slowly receded behind the branches of the emergent forest. "It's gonna be dark soon," Miles said. "What's the report?" "Another bongo attack," Sam replied. He slung his rifle strap around his back. "Another one? This is the 4th attack that's occurred this week. I guess someone's hungry." "Any idea what's doing this?" Miles asked. "I don't know. It could be the lions, but this many in 1 week is unusual for a pack. A single antelope could last them a few days before it got too rotten. Lions don't just kill because they could. It's definitely not lions," Sam stated. Sam worked closely with the CISBA, Center for the Integrative Study of Animal Behavior. He was used to the behavior of animals. Sam could tell you exactly what an animal would do before it did it. "Uh-huh," Miles nodded, stomping out his cigarette onto the dirt path. "Well, whatever's killing these animals doesn't do much with them. Just a couple of bites and scratches. They don't even eat it. Don't you find that a little strange?" Sam grabbed a large folded blue tarp along with a nylon rope out of the trunk. On the tarp, the words read, "Property of Africa Safari Rescue." "It is a bit odd, I'll give you that," Sam said, handing the rope to Miles as he held the tarp under his arm. "Let's get this over with," Miles said annoyingly. Sam shut the trunk to the vehicle and began to walk down the embankment to catch up with Miles. "How are your kids?" Miles asked. "They're fine. I still can't believe my little Katie is going to be a junior in high school, and Trevor is starting his 2nd year of middle school." "Do they still fight with each other?" Miles asked jokingly. Sam chuckled. "Yeah, never gets old. Katie loves to pick on her younger brother. It's what me and my brother did as kids. Older siblings always mess with their younger siblings. It's quite rare for siblings not to have some sort of rivalry." Grass and twigs crunched as they made their way down to the small village. "Carol is going to drop them off next week. They're going to be staying down here for the month. She said she needed a break from everything, and I haven't seen them in almost a year," Sam said. "Is everything alright?" Miles asked, concerned. "Not since the divorce. Things have been hard on her and the kids. I haven't been there much lately and I regret that. At least you're trying to spend time with them, Miles said. That's the problem. I don't try to spend time with them. It's usually up to Caroline and the kids to decide if they want to come down and visit. I always agree if I'm available, and I love spending time with them, but this job gets in the way. They walked into the small village as an older gentleman walked up to them. Miles spoke to him in French. What's he saying? Sam asked. Yes, he is the one who found the bongo. He says that they heard strange noises coming from the jungle. He went to investigate, and he saw... Miles paused and looked at the older man. What did you say you saw? Night demons, the older man said. Night demons, Miles repeated. What are those? The older man spoke to him in French once more. He says that they're white-eyed creatures. They killed one of their children in the woods. He says it made himself sick. What do you mean by sick? Miles asked. He says that the boy began hallucinating, saying that they were all around us, hiding in the shadows. He says that the boy became very aggressive if anyone tried to assist him. The boy started shaking hysterically, and he eventually became limp. He said that he couldn't move anything, and by morning, the boy had succumbed to his injuries. Miles bowed his head slightly in the older man's direction. I'm sorry for your loss. The man nodded as a tear rolled down his face. Where did you say the animal was located? The man pointed in the nearby brush. Thank you for your time, Miles replied, shaking his hand. Miles and Sam headed in the direction of the carcass. Walking past the sorghum plants, they slowly inched towards the body. God, it stinks, Miles uttered, covering his nose with his hand. Sam walked up to the rotting carcass as flies began to swarm around the dead animal. He bent down to examine the animal up close. Female. Middle-aged. That's odd, Sam said, confused. Miles, take a look at this. Miles walked up and bent down beside him. What am I supposed to be looking at? Miles muttered. Do you see this punctured area? Sam pointed to an open wound on the bongo's neck. Right along the trachea. This is usually the kill spot for most big cats, but what's strange about this is that the trachea is intact. It appears as though the blood around the area has been infected with a type of sepsis. That could have been caused by a venomous bite. And judging by the state of the body, the venom is what eventually killed her. It most likely started as a bacterial infection around the neck area, and the bacteria spread throughout the animal's bloodstream, Sam said. Which would mean that this bongo would have been attacked by some sort of septic animal, Sam continued. Like a Komodo dragon? Miles responded. Yes, something along those lines, but there aren't any Komodo dragons in this region of the Congos, let alone any part of Africa. Komodos live mainly on the island of Indonesia. Also, look at the rest of the animal's body. It's been in rigor for a good 20 minutes. That usually takes at least 24 hours to set in fully. Meaning that this bongo was paralyzed by a very strong venom that put it into rigor almost immediately after death. That doesn't make any sense, said Miles. I know. We'll look into it when we get back to the research center, Sam said. Now, here you can see deep lacerations above the animal's left thigh and up towards the spinal column. It's almost like thunder bellowed across the sky, and shortly after, a bright white streak of lightning crossed the atmosphere. Droplets of rain fell down onto the ground with short, spaced-out drips until it began to downpour. Damn, Miles said. Sam adjusted his hat to avoid the splotches of rain. He took the blue tarp and laid it on the grass. Miles, help me wrap this thing up, Sam demanded. We can't risk these wounds being washed away. We haven't studied the entire corpse just yet. Sam grabbed hold of the forelimbs of the bongo. Miles, grab it by the legs! Miles grasped each hand around the animal's hind limbs. Alright, we'll pick it up on 3, Sam shouted. 1, 2, 3! They heaved up the lifeless body of the bongo and dropped it onto the sprawled out tarp as it landed with a thud. Quick, Sam said. Tie it together! Sam closed the tarp by the ends, leaving the open holes of the tarp exposed. Miles took the green nylon rope and placed it inside both of the exposed circles and tied it in a secure constrictor knot. Alright, We have to get this thing back up to the fender, Sam cried. Miles picked up one of the ends of the blue tarp as Sam grabbed the opposite end. They began to walk back uphill, rain still pouring down on them as they made their way up the muddy sloped embankment to the Land Rover. Sam, try and climb up the slope. I'll hand this thing up to you when you're on the incline, Miles said. Sam nodded and began to ascend up the hill, struggling to stand atop the slippery muck of the bank. He flung his body over the slope, quickly getting to his feet and turning his head to overlook Miles. He was struggling to drag the carcass up to the edge. Okay, hand it over, Sam yelled down to Miles. Miles made a loud grunting sound as he hoisted up the deceased animal to Sam. Sam pulled up the carcass with a loud heave and dropped it atop the bank. Give me your hand! I'll pull you up! Sam cried. Miles held up his hand and grasped Sam's arm. Sam dragged Miles up with a heavy jerk onto the embankment. Quickly getting to their feet. You're gonna have to grab some more rope, Miles demanded. We have to tie the animal down on top of the Land Rover's roof rack. Alright, Sam agreed. He pulled out a silver keychain with a metallic tan lion resting on the chain. He clicked the trunk logo on the keyless entry remote, unlocking the trunk of the Land Rover. The trunk flung open with a hydraulic winch coming from the hinges. Rain patted down on the metallic vehicle, dribbling off of the roof of the SUV and running along the sides as well as the back of the vehicle. Sam grabbed part of an orange and black nylon rope from the back of the trunk. He then shut the trunk with a soft thud. Lightning flashed once more as Sam brought the rope over to Miles. Except, Miles wasn't there. End of part 1.